March 27th, 1982. A calm Saturday morning that turned into a harrowing tragedy. Donald Weltner, a New Jersey state trooper, decided to spend the day exploring the Crooked Swamp Cave with his 2 sons and a group of Boy Scouts. This wasn't just another weekend adventure. Weltner was a seasoned outdoorsman and a trusted leader in his community. The group entered the Sussex County cave system, eager for a day of discovery and bonding. But caves are unpredictable, and even the most experienced explorers face risks. At some point during their exploration, Weltner made a fateful decision to investigate a narrow, uncharted passage within the cave. It was a space so tight that movement was limited, the kind of place that tested both physical strength and mental endurance. What started as a bold step into the unknown became a desperate fight for survival. Weltner became stuck in the crevice, his body wedged tightly in the unforgiving rock. Rescue efforts began almost immediately, but with each passing hour, the situation grew more dire. Cold seeped into the cave, making survival harder with every minute. For 3 agonizing days, rescue teams worked tirelessly. They drilled through bedrock, deployed heavy equipment, and pushed human endurance to the limit. But despite their heroic efforts, nature refused to yield. Weltner, trapped in the dark and cold, succumbed to hypothermia before he could be freed. This isn't just a story about an accident. It's about how even a moment's decision can change lives forever. On March 27, 1982, a group of Boy Scouts, led by New Jersey State Trooper Sergeant Donald G. Weltner, set out for an adventure in Crooked Swamp Cave, located in Sussex County, New Jersey. This cave, known for its intricate passages and tight spaces, was a popular spot for explorers seeking a challenge. Weltner, 48 years old, was an experienced outdoorsman and a dedicated scout leader. He had previously taken Boy Scouts on cave trips, though his experience with Crooked Swamp Cave was limited. The group consisted of 12 Boy Scouts, including Weltner's 2 sons, Christopher, 12, and Roger, 14, along with another scoutmaster, Jim Ewen. Ewen, a caver with 30 years of experience, was suffering from a bad cold and did not enter the cave that day. This left Weltner in charge of leading the boys through the cave's passages. Before entering, the group reviewed maps of the cave, discussing various sections and areas to avoid. They divided into smaller groups to explore the constricted passages, with Weltner leading one of the teams. He was wearing a long-sleeved shirt, pants, rubber-soled boots, and a helmet with a chin strap, but no mountain light. As they ventured deeper into the cave, the excitement of discovery filled the air. The scouts navigated through narrow tunnels, crawled on hands and knees, and squeezed through tight spots, all under Weltner's guidance. The cave's natural formations and the thrill of exploration made for an exhilarating experience. However, as they progressed, the passages became increasingly narrow and challenging. Weltner decided to explore an uncharted passage, a decision that would soon lead to unforeseen consequences. He crawled into a narrow crevice approximately 18 inches by 20 inches and became wedged 17 feet below the ground. Despite his efforts to free himself, he remained stuck, unable to move forward or backward. The scouts, realizing the severity of the situation, attempted to assist Weltner. They tried to pull him out, but the tight space and his position made it impossible. After several hours of unsuccessful attempts, they decided to seek external help. One of the scouts exited the cave and contacted authorities, initiating a rescue operation that would last for days. The initial excitement of the adventure had turned into a desperate situation. The group, especially Weltner's sons, faced a harrowing ordeal as they awaited the arrival of rescue teams. The complexities of the cave, combined with the urgency of the situation, set the stage for a challenging and emotional rescue effort. As the hours passed, the reality of the dangers associated with caving became evident. The incident highlighted the importance of proper preparation, awareness of one's limitations, and the unpredictable nature of cave exploration. The following days would test the resolve and skills of all involved as they worked tirelessly to rescue Sergeant Donald Weltner from the depths of Crooked Swamp Cave. Upon learning of Sergeant Donald Weltner's entrapment in Crooked Swamp Cave, rescue teams swiftly mobilized to the scene. The primary challenge was the cave's complex structure, characterized by narrow passages and jagged rock formations, which made access to Weltner's location extremely difficult. Initial attempts to reach Weltner involved sending rescuers through the same route he had taken. However, the tight confines and his position, wedged approximately 17 feet underground in an 18-inch by 20-inch crevice, rendered these efforts unsuccessful. Recognizing the need for alternative strategies, authorities decided to drill a vertical shaft directly above his location. Drilling through the bedrock and limestone presented significant technical challenges. Rescue teams worked around the clock, employing jackhammers and other heavy equipment to create a 22-inch wide shaft. Progress was slow due to the hardness of the rock and the need to prevent further destabilization of the cave structure. Throughout the operation, rescuers maintained communication with Weltner. In the initial hours, he remained coherent, conversing with the teams and even requesting that his wife be informed of his delayed return. To combat the cave's cold temperatures, which posed a risk of hypothermia, rescuers placed hot water bottles near his head and feet. As time progressed, signs of life diminished. By early Sunday morning, approximately 12 hours after the incident, rescuers reported only faint grunts from Weltner. By Monday morning, all vital signs had ceased, yet efforts to reach and extricate him continued unabated. The rescue operation attracted assistance from various agencies and experts, including cave rescue specialists from Pittsburgh. Despite the combined expertise and relentless efforts, the complexities of the cave's layout and the inherent risks of further destabilization impeded progress. On March 30, after more than 3 days of continuous effort, rescuers managed to reach Weltner's position. They placed a harness around his body, intending to pull him through the horizontal passage to the newly drilled shaft. However, jagged rocks obstructed the path, allowing them to move him only about a foot after 3 hours of labor. Recognizing the futility of this approach, the decision was made to excavate the hill surrounding the cave to gain direct access. The excavation involved the use of backhoes and other heavy machinery to remove earth and rock from around the cave. This method carried significant risks, including the potential collapse of the cave and further harm to Weltner. Nonetheless, with no viable alternatives remaining, the operation proceeded. Tragically, despite the exhaustive rescue efforts, Sergeant Donald Weltner succumbed to hypothermia before he could be freed. His body was eventually recovered and transported to Newton Memorial Hospital for an autopsy. The incident underscored the inherent dangers of cave exploration and highlighted the challenges faced by rescue teams in such perilous environments. The rescue operation to free Sergeant Donald Weltner was one of the most challenging and technically demanding efforts in the history of cave rescues. The primary issue was the physical layout of Crooked Swamp Cave itself. The cave had narrow, jagged tunnels, and the passage where Weltner was stuck measured only 18 inches wide and 20 inches high. These tight dimensions left no room for standard rescue methods, forcing rescuers to innovate on the spot. As rescuers tried to approach Weltner through the cave's passages, they quickly encountered significant obstacles. The tight crevice was not only difficult to navigate, but also highly dangerous. The rescuers faced risks of getting stuck themselves or causing a collapse within the passage, which could have sealed off any chance of reaching Weltner. The horizontal passage leading to Weltner was simply too constricted for traditional equipment. Rescue teams initially attempted to dig and widen the path manually, but progress was agonizingly slow. The tools available to them, including small chisels and handheld hammers, were ill-suited for the dense limestone rock that encased the cave. Realizing this, the decision was made to drill a vertical shaft from the surface directly down to Weltner's location. Drilling presented its own unique set of challenges. The rock was extremely hard, requiring the use of heavy-duty jackhammers and specialized drilling rigs. Noise, vibrations, and dust from the drilling operation made conditions even more difficult for those working in the cave. Additionally, the shaft needed to be precisely aligned with avoiding Werkner's position to avoid missing him entirely or causing further harm by dislodging debris into the confined space where he was trapped. Another complicating factor was the temperature inside the cave. Crooked Swamp Cave was cold, with temperatures low enough to induce hypothermia in a matter of hours. Rescue workers tried to counteract this by providing heat packs and warm water bottles to Weltner. These efforts, however, were limited by the physical constraints of the space and the diminishing communication with him as his condition worsened. The psychological toll on the rescuers was immense. They could hear Weltner at the start, his voice weak but present. He occasionally responded to their attempts to communicate and made small sounds to indicate he was still alive. However, as the hours turned into days, these signs of life faded. Rescuers worked tirelessly in increasingly desperate conditions. Knowing time was running out, the local authorities had to coordinate a large-scale operation involving multiple agencies and specialists. Equipment was brought in from surrounding areas, and experts in caving and rescue operations were called to the site. Volunteers, including spelunkers from nearby regions, also joined the effort. Despite their combined expertise, the complexity of the cave system and the limitations of available technology made it an almost impossible mission. Adding to the difficulty was the sheer exhaustion faced by the rescuers. Many worked in shifts that stretched well beyond normal limits. The confined space, lack of fresh air, and physical demands of digging, drilling, and maneuvering within the cave added layers of hardship. For the rescuers, every passing hour brought the dual weight of physical fatigue and emotional strain, as the likelihood of finding Weltner alive dwindled. By the third day of the operation, rescuers were forced to acknowledge that their efforts were no longer focused on saving a life, but on recovering a body. Despite this grim realization, they continued working with the same determination. The case of Donald Weltner was a stark reminder of the dangers of cave exploration and the extreme difficulties of performing rescues in such an unforgiving environment. After days of relentless effort, the grim reality became clear. Sergeant Donald Weltner had succumbed to the extreme conditions inside Crooked Swamp Cave. Hypothermia and prolonged immobility in the cold, damp environment had taken their toll. Despite the best efforts of the rescue teams, the tight confinements of the cave and the technical challenges made it impossible to reach him in time. The focus shifted to recovering Weltner's body. This stage of the operation was no less challenging. Rescue teams continued drilling through the dense limestone, expanding the shaft and cautiously clearing debris to avoid further complications. It took several more hours of painstaking effort before they were finally able to retrieve Weltner's remains. His body was carefully brought to the surface and transported to Newton Memorial Hospital for examination. The recovery marked the end of a tragic and grueling rescue attempt. For the Boy Scouts who had been with Weltner on that fateful day, the incident left a lasting emotional impact. His sons Christopher and Roger were among the first to grasp the enormity of the tragedy, having witnessed their father's entrapment and the subsequent rescue efforts firsthand. The entire community mourned the loss of a dedicated leader, father, and public servant. It highlighted the need for improved safety protocols and reinforced the importance of thorough planning and training for such endeavors. For the rescue teams, the incident underscored the limitations of available technology and the sheer unpredictability of nature. If you found this story as captivating and cautionary as we did, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth explorations of extraordinary real-life events. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think could have been done differently? Or what lessons do you take away from this tragedy? Your engagement helps us bring you more stories like this. Thank you for watching.